Number 1, Kodak Brownie. Kodak Brownie was the first camera that was used by the masses. And when I say masses, for those who could afford it. Of course, it was a lot of money back then, but an average person could buy that camera in 1900 when it was released. And after that, of course. Before Brownie, you weren't really able to photograph snapshots of your everyday life because cameras were big and bulky and you need to know how to develop the film, and that required some skills and some knowledge of chemistry and all that. But when Brownie came, you could make those snapshots, send the camera to Kodak, they will develop the film, load a new film into your Kodak Brownie, and send the camera with the film and your prints, and I suspect also negatives, to you so that you can enjoy the photographs. And then you have fully loaded camera to make some more snapshots. And this was really a big invention at the time, and I would compare this to mobile phones. It was so big. The transformation from professional photography to snapshots, and so that photography was for everyone. Number 2, Henri Cartier-Bresson. Cartier-Bresson was the inventor of decisive moment, and I could say that he was the father of street photography. And the reason that was made possible is that Oskar Barnack invented Leica cameras. And that was the first really small 35mm camera that was widely used in street photography, documentary, portraiture, or kind of like candid and street portraiture, and etc., etc. And those were the images that were not possible before because cameras were big and bulky, and it wasn't really possible to do things what they did, or what Cartier-Bresson, for example, did, because, like I said, the cameras were big and bulky. You can do that. But now you have a small camera, and the photographers, mainly Cartier-Bresson, invented totally new way of making images, and the aesthetics of the images were totally different. You could do action shots and etc., etc. It changed everything in photography when small cameras were introduced. Hi, it's Peter here, and before we continue to number 3, let's remind us that today, 19th of August, is the birthday of photography. The reason this is considered to be the birthday of photography is that on August 19th, 1839, French government donated photography to the free world. Number 3, photojournalism. Life magazine was one of the first magazines to print photo stories or photo essays and photojournalistic work, in the sense of that a photojournalistic work was a piece of journalism itself. It wasn't only text, it was mainly images, and the text accompanied the images or added up to the images. So it mainly images which made the story. And that was totally something new. And probably photographers have done that before, but in a way of books. But now when it's a magazine, it could be spread to a wider audience. And we could see things and places that we have never seen before in a totally new way. It was kind of a same type of revolution that Oskar Barnack's Leica did and Henri Cartier-Bresson. But now it was in printed magazines, and it was another big revolution. And the heydays were 50s, 60s, and early 70s for this. Then it started to change a bit. But I think photojournalistic work in magazines like Life is a big thing that changed photography and the availability of photographs that we could see. And number 4, John Szarkowski. That's the way his name is spelled. I have a hard time to pronouncing his name. But he was the art curator or the head of photography department in MoMA in New York. He made a lot of work so that photography could consider it as art. It wasn't until early 70s, late 60s, because people think that it's just a snapshot. Anybody could do it, which is kind of funny because you cannot, because there are so many different things to consider: the subject matter, the way you photograph, composition, and everything. It's a big process in your head, and especially like I was talking about Life magazine, for example, it's not an easy task to do, but that was not considered to be art back then. Now the thing is totally different. We see photojournalistic work in art galleries and all that, but it was John Szarkowski who started the movement of considering photography to be art, and now nobody kind of says that photos are not art. And after the 5th thing, there will be an extra thing. Number 5, social media and image sharing. Image sharing is actually not a very new thing. They used to have these visiting cards that was a printed portrait of you. If you visited someone, you might bring a photograph to him or her, and then they put them in the albums. And that was kind of like your diary, that who has visited my house. Of course, the image sharing nowadays is totally different. There were some image sharing in a way of slideshows that you showed. You traveled somewhere and took a lot of slides, and you had your friends over and you took the slide projector on, and everybody was like, oh gosh, now Uncle Bob is showing his family shots from a trip and all that. But that was image sharing. And then, of course, photo albums were something that you could share at your home. You got visitors, you might want to watch some family photos with your relatives and all that. But now social media have kind of like blew up the whole image sharing thing. Now everybody in the world might see what you ate today, and might see your selfie, might see what you wear, what wear the clothes that you wear today and all that. And it has changed a lot how we see image making, because everybody is a photographer now with their mobile phones. And I'm not saying that it's not true. Yes, everybody is a photographer and could share images. And there have been some photographers that have been found because of their social media accounts and their photographs there. Of course, there are these Cinderella stories that you can be found. Of course, it's not very common, but you know, it can happen. And that is, of course, something that photographers has kind of like especially the pros has been like, why people like photographs in Instagram? Why don't they like my photographs that are on my website? Well, the world has changed, and it also has changed the aesthetics of photography, because Instagram, for example, and is more casual photos. Yes, I know. Many of them are polished and showing only the good side of life, and forget that there are some bad things in life too that might happen. Usually people don't share those. They only share the great moments, and that is also kind of made our impression that everybody's living a fabulous life, but except me, because I can't share that type of nice images from those exotic locations. But always remember, it's not the whole story. Everyone has their own problems, but some of us tell more about them and most don't. So always remember that. So it's not only casual, but it has changed the pro photography in a way that in assignment, when you go somewhere, people want more authentic photographs, and the post ones are less needed. People want some action shots that are natural, and that is something that also the social media and the imaging has affected pro photography and what kind of images people want to see. And then the extra tip, AI. AI has become a part of every technical thing in life. Where there is technology, there's always some kind of AI, and photography is no different. Especially in image editing, we have a lot of AI that can be used in your advantage. And when I say in your advantage, it doesn't mean that you rely 100% on your image editing only on AI. You need to have a starting point that is produced maybe by AI, and then you can tweak it to your likings. And I'm not saying that everything that is done automatically is AI, because I think AI should also have the element of learning, so that it would learn from my way of editing and it will adapt to that. So every AI on every photographer's computer would be a bit different. Maybe the starting point is the same, but it starts learning your habits and your way of making images. That could be so good. And then, of course, I could tweak them to be more precise. But if it would learn, it would make the AI even better. So what about you? What do you think? Did I have the correct ones, or maybe there are some more? Because there are hundreds and hundreds of things. I have a book this thick that has 100 ideas that change photography. And I'll put a link in the description of this video to this book. It's a very interesting book. There are a lot of other things too. So please let me know in the comments down below. What do you think? What has changed the photography most? And here are some more videos about photography that you might want to watch. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.